everybody, and welcome to our live stream event. We are live streaming to Facebook, Instagram, or not Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So we've got a few dozen people watching. We're very grateful for that, and we're excited to bring to you this webinar about our new SHiFT program. And so I'm going to bring on Jonathan Morrow, and he is going to introduce our guest and get the webinar started. Stick around. We will be doing a live Q&A immediately following this. You can submit your questions in the comments, whichever platform you're watching us on. Just submit your comments and questions there, and we will get to them toward the end of the live stream, toward the end of the webinar. So thank you, and without any further delay, here's Jonathan.
Hey, Vince, thank you so much for the opportunity to kind of just go into this program that we've been working on for a year. ARA is oftentimes in the background doing so many things for recyclers that when you look at how does this benefit my business, sometimes you just have to look at all the government things that we work on in the background and the members, things we're pushing to members. But this SHiFT, this new vehicle retirement initiative, I think could be a huge game changer for the industry. ARA has been working tirelessly for the last year with members of ARS, and ARTI is now on board benefiting this. I want to walk through a little bit of what this quick presentation is going to be telling you. So if you look at what is SHiFT, there we go. Why are we doing this? We're going to walk through why we're doing this. We're going to walk through how it benefits you as a recycler. Then you're going to want to know how does SHiFT work? How are you going to be able to sign up? And how are you going to grow your company? How are you going to grow your business through operating and using this SHiFT website and the SHiFT portal? So Joe and Emily from ARS have been working for the last year with the executive committee of ARA, and I am so excited to bring them on and let you kind of just meet and hear from them. So Joe, Emily?
Jono, thanks. And thanks, everybody. We're thrilled to be here. As was earlier mentioned, this has been in the incubator for a while. So to get here and to talk about this finally with the broad membership is a super exciting thing for all of us. We've been a proud member of ARA for about 15 years. Many of you, we know many of you and worked with you throughout those same years. But I will tell you, this is one of the most exciting things our company's ever been involved in. And it's just a very happy moment for us. Emily?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Emily Potchman. I'm Director of Partnerships. I am a rookie in this industry, about a year and a half, but it's been really fun, especially working with the EC in the background. Like we've mentioned, I've got to meet some of you at the ARA conference last year. Overall, I've been so impressed with everyone, your passion for the industry, your growth mindset. Really looking forward to what we're going to accomplish together, and exciting new frontier ahead. So Joe, I'll turn it over to you. And yeah. I'll be back for the Q&A, so I'll sneak out now.
So this is SHiFT. For those of you who haven't had a chance yet or haven't seen this, you can find the website set up at www.shiftfortomorrow.org. SHiFT is a social enterprise committed to helping consumers and companies responsibly retire vehicles with strict environmental protocols from start to finish. SHiFT is hopefully and designed to be kind of a celebration of all the good work that has been done by us, our members, our families, our businesses for decades, really. We are actually taking a very science-based approach to it, using foundational research done by Worcester Polytechnic Institute and the Auto Recycling Association of Massachusetts to help us build an argument about it, but that's exactly what we're trying to do. SHiFT is about building a broad argument about the benefits of auto recycling, and especially in context of the broad conversation about alternative fuels and alternatives to fossil fuels specifically. So what does that really mean, right? So we're talking about impact, right? And impact is a word that gets thrown around a lot, right? We all see Tesla and Elon Musk gobbling up headlines every day. But from 2016 forward, Tesla's produced around 2 million Teslas. But at the same time, vehicles in operation has grown by 18 million. So all the attention that is being focused on the fine and important work of EV manufacturers and stuff like that is a little bit of a distraction on some of the great work that's actually been done as roads have continually got cleaner, vehicles get more efficient, and the environmental services that we provide get more and more efficient and more innovative every day. day. So we're thrilled to actually kind of plant a flag with this program to really start talking about the good work. And it is an opportunity to really count carbon units as they come out of operation and as we move into these fuel alternatives going forward. We'll talk more about what that looks like and how the methodology for that as we go forward. So the SHiFT program itself is more than just business as usual for all of us. The SHiFT program is about designing a program for a specific set of consumers, whether or not they're individuals, companies, claim organizations, et cetera, that is uniform across the diverse use cases and the diverse business models and our diverse processes. It needs to still be a standard process, uniform in outcome, but not necessarily in delivery. We have to adhere to standards. We have to we have worked hard with the EC to develop a program and a process that should not unnecessarily complicate member operations and still provide an economic win and an environmental win. So we're going to unpack that piece by piece here in the conversation to come.
So, and I think what you said just was so important, Joe, is as we walk through this process, what you just stated about all the things it needs to be, it's exactly what ARA has been positioning the association and our members for the last couple of years with pushing car certification, pushing standards of operation, so that when an opportunity like this comes in, we can step into that and be uniformed as independent and as consolidated recyclers, uniformed in how we do this process. But why are we doing this process? Why? Because it's a huge target volume opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity out there for those people who are looking to retire their ride, to move on to the next vehicle. You know, you said this a lot, and I think it's something that's often understated, is the real and measurable environmental benefit that we offer to the entire world, right? So the car is the most recycled product out there. And so what we do is absolutely undervalued. And I think we don't talk about it enough. We don't preach it enough. But this program is going to provide a direct member benefit in a relationship between the people selling the cars and the automotive recycler. It's going to engage ARA to make our base bigger. I mean, when people see what benefits the economic benefits that we're going to be able to use to get vehicles through SHiFT, it's going to grow the member base. It's going to, once again, amplify everything that's going on and all the good things we have been doing for years. I like to say sometimes we were recycling before it was cool. We were doing it because why? Because it's profitable. We know how to make money with it. But through this process, we're going to be able to fund ARTI, which we can talk about at the end of this presentation, and we can continue to support and amplify the car programs and the certification programs that is going to be vital as we move into the EV and as we move into new technologies in cars. Being a certified recycler is going to carry a ton of weight. And so this is one of these things of why this is important that we get on board and we start harnessing all the things we've done well. And Joe, I think it's great what you guys are doing here.
Yeah. So one of the primary impetus for doing this is actually to reach a new and emerging consumer that's out there, right? And we talk about it, you hear about it. Now, a lot of the data that we're putting in front of you about people identifying in terms of polls and straw counts about what they care about, do the dollars always follow? It almost doesn't matter. There is the environmental consumer out there. People are saying more consistently that they want to be able to make environmental conscious decisions. And it's not just the individuals, right? It's also local government, it's statewide government. Like we have a clean air legislation that has stated environmental objectives. Everyone remembers the Cash for Clunkers program that we were fed once upon a time. This is all part of the target group for our future here. And we're excited to reach them.
But Joe, this isn't a Cash for Clunkers program.
Definitely not.
It's a very different one, right?
Very different. But we want to be in front of that, right? Like the laws that are being written right now have economic incentives for people to move into fuel alternative vehicles in the future. We want to make sure that those economic and the Cash for Clunkers program was an economic program. We want to make sure that we have a cohesive national approach to answering questions, environmental and social governance questions already prepared for when those opportunities arise. And
Absolutely.
that consumer is every bit as important to us. That legislative consumer is every bit as important to us as the individual consumers, as the fleet and claims operations out there that we will also appeal to. So all of it should represent new and increased opportunities for our recycling community. And I mean, there's a baseline here, right? We're just using as a baseline for the purpose of this conversation what many of us know ARS through, which is our card donation space. This is a conversation that we've had over the time when we polled typical card owners to ask them about their interest, and they have always stated an environmental improvement, right? So we're just trying to make sure on this journey from 290 million vehicles in U.S. roadways to whatever the future looks like, we create this brand new service that is catered specifically to this set of needs. So who's going to be interested in this, right? Outside of the data that we just showed you, outside of those numbers alone and the quotes from the news sources, who's going to be interested? So we're trying to reach to these environmentally committed consumers. You're meeting here Rupert, Rebecca, and Minnie, and we're super excited to introduce more about their particular story. This is the first, by chance and circumstance, the very first car that came through the SHiFT program several months ago. We've shot a commercial piece around it to really tell that story in a visual way for the short attention span theater that is out there. But these consumers were at a crossroads with their vehicle. Their transportation needs had changed, their vehicle needed some work, and they wanted to make an environmental choice first. And SHiFT, which was introduced to them just in conversation rather than actually through the website, was a perfect fit for their needs. So we're really excited to show this to you in great detail.
Yeah, that mini opportunity was just spot on, perfect timing for the SHiFT, for the rollout of the SHiFT. And when you guys have an opportunity to see the video and see how it's just going to be a positive impact for you as recyclers, it's just phenomenal. I mean, and we talk about the benefits. So two things, as you've hung with us through the presentation so far, no, we're almost halfway done. And this is the part where you're going to be able to sink your teeth into and really enjoy, because how does it benefit you? How does it benefit me as a recycler? So one, volume. Volume is always an issue we talk about. Like, how do we get more cars? How do we process more cars? The second thing it's going to do is, as Joe pointed out, there's a number of people, even me as a consumer, when I go out, I start finding myself making decisions that are environmentally conscious because that's just what I want to do. And so we are, as a recycling industry, an environmental authority on how to recycle cars. That's what we do well. That's what no one is better than that than us. So another thing that's going to benefit us is having, drawing people to our website. That's a constant thing that we have been trying to do, is bringing people to be informed about what we do and how we do what we do. And so this SHiFT is going to have an opportunity to push this, and Joe is going to walk you through this, how you can put this opportunity on your own website to drive traffic to you. And with that, you're going to be able to connect to your community. You're going to be able to connect to other members. And through this, you are going to be able to push money to your bottom line. Why? Because it economically will make so much sense, and Joe's about to walk you through how that's going to make sense. So hold on, it's coming to you soon.
Yeah. I'm just going to reiterate this one part. This should be a competitive opportunity for all of the members, specifically, right? Like when we're competing more and more against curb stoners or people trying to separate their vehicles, owners from their vehicles online, stuff like that. This is an authority play. And this is an authority play that, again, and I mentioned it before, stands on the shoulders of the great work that this organization, its members, have done on behalf of the environment and on behalf of future generations, for generations. So we'll talk more about that competitive stuff in the future. But how does it really work? How are we going to deliver this service, right? If we build it, and if they're out there, and if they come, how do we build it? How do we deliver? So let's talk about how SHiFT works, right? So we're not going to get into the full marketing and communications plan for how to get people into the SHiFT funnel, but we've got some exciting ideas about that. But when we do get a SHiFT opportunity in the funnel, that SHiFT opportunity is pushed to members using a tier program. I'm going to explain those tiers later, right? We're trying to make sure that the entire beneficiary group are ARA members, but we have to do some tier thinking on it as well. The members are going to be offered the vehicle at a tier rate. You can approve that vehicle, accept it, or you can pass on it. If you do accept it, a pickup order is issued to you by ARS and a SHiFT affidavit is prepared. We'll talk about that in a second. If you pass on it, it's moved on to the next tier member. But if you're going to be arranging for the pickup of that vehicle, you're going to need to log that vehicle into the system as registered pickup. We will handle all the payment processing, all the paperwork. ARS, for any of you who've worked with ARS in the past, you know that this is not a stretch for our services. We're very good at those kind of things. The affidavit itself, we'll get into the requirements of the affidavit, the specific requirements of the SHiFT vehicle in a minute, but an electronic affidavit will follow this vehicle. And that electronic affidavit is part of the mechanism that allows us to count the carbon units over time. So it's a very important element, not only for our tracking, but also for the way this is promoted to consumers, right? The back end is totally handled by ARS, and then the vehicle is closed. But like, how do those vehicles actually physically get pushed? So for those of you who have been purchasing from ARS, you'll be familiar with this MBID environment. This is our exchange application where you can come and bid on vehicles. Well, this is handled a little differently. The vehicle is pushed directly to that tier member using a logic that we'll unpack. But you'll see the vehicle represented as a SHiFT vehicle. You'll see the unit price is set based on your tier level. And it's really just as simple as accepting that opportunity if you want it. We'll give you the information that we have at the time. It will not always include photos. We have the ability to acquire photos from the field, and we get a high degree of cooperation on that. So we're hoping to see a lot of photos on it. But we're catering not just to end-of-life vehicles. We're looking for vehicles like that Mini Cooper, where people are trying to make an environmental decision, maybe on their way to an EV. The process by which we communicate through the MBID system, we can explain a little bit more as well. But here's the typical example for that Mini Cooper we were talking about. If we were using ProQuote, right? If we were using an estimate from Copart on what that vehicle's value is, and then using standard fees associated, your acquisition number would be somewhere around $1,000 on that vehicle. For the SHiFT program, using the tiered at the tier 1 opportunity, that vehicle would be offered for purchase at a number less than $200. That's a significant economic savings, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I mean, no, I just want for everybody watching. We all know what it's like to buy at the sales, and they're a great opportunity for us to get a lot of cars. But look at the buyer fee on that ProQuote. I mean, Joe, it's $175, and what we're saying, and you're going to walk this out. I just had to interrupt you because I find this like fascinating. When you look at from a recycler's point of view, I have the opportunity to acquire that vehicle for $193 if I'm a tier 1 member. Right. That's just the buyer fee and the pull-out fee from a typical auction site.
Yeah.
That's a game changer. That's an absolute game changer on the same car that that's sitting right here if it goes to the SHiFT program. So totally cut you off, but I know everybody out there is seeing that and probably stopped in their shoes going, what's the catch? And Joe's going to explain this is just the opportunity.
Yeah. And certainly this opportunity doesn't come without requirements, but we want it to stand off the page for you. We are presenting terrific value to the users of the SHiFT program, and we're presenting hopefully terrific value to our members as well. You can see the calculations that we're using for tier 1 in this example. So what we're doing is we're actually using the prevailing crushed auto body weight as the market-based adjustment that we're going to paying off of in every case. And these are the calculations based on the gross vehicle weight and that prevailing number. That prevailing rate times the weight comes out with a economic split between Artie and the member, and that's what your numbers look like. So
so when you guys hear that out there, so Artie, which we can walk through if you don't know what it is, when you're buying that opportunity for $193, there's a split that's actually going back to ARA to help do more programs to benefit more members. So it's like this circular win-win-win for the economy, for the environment, and for ARA. So once again, I'm excited because I see the opportunity here for everyone.
Yeah. So here's how we've developed the pricing and the tiered and targeted opportunities for it, right? So level 1 is the most aggressive buying number, right? It's based largely on our highest standard of certification, which is our car member, or if the vehicle is coming from your website directly. Now, again, this is going to be part of the tools and treasures that come with this program. But for some of you who've used some of our tools, if you're using this link on your website and creating an opportunity for people who might be local to you or familiar with you to make this kind of environmental choice, then you should have the greatest economic benefit. And we'll explain that more later. But the tracking, we've already done this, and we're already servicing a lot of auto recyclers' websites with similar tools where we track sell car traffic. This is very similar in that regard. So tier 1 represents whoever either originates it or the closest car certified operations. That they will have the greatest economic opportunity to purchase it. If it comes from your website, it's offered exclusively to you first. Okay. SHiFT 2 is level 2 is SHiFT compliant still. And that is offered to the entire ARA membership. Now, again, not quite the same economic opportunity, only a 10% difference though, but using similar design ideas to actually offer it. SHiFT 3, right, is still a compliant, agreeing to the terms of the SHiFT program and the affidavit. If we do not have a car member, a ARA member close enough to the vehicle, because we are truly rolling out fully national from the beginning. This is offered now outside. Now, I believe this is a journey for ARA membership. Once these people that we might be relying on rural areas understand the benefits of membership, I'm excited about the opportunity, and I think it's a tool and a lever for car membership as well. Outside of that, if all else fails, and we do not expect it to fail often, but it could fall out of program. If we do not have a SHiFT compliant yard that can agree to the terms of the affidavit, then we have to move away from the program and maybe offer them just a car donation program to CARDI, but we need to be able to carry a standard of service with the SHiFT brand and concept, and that would be out of program.
No, Joe, I think it's important to, when we look at this and we talk about the first level, right? SHiFT compliant first level website referral, meaning that the person came in through your website to go through the SHiFT program, and or a car certified member, you know, from an ARA past president who believes in the car certification wholeheartedly. People often say, like, where's the benefit for the car? What's the benefit for me being car certified? Right here. It's a huge benefit. 10%, a better deal by 10% on the vehicle per car you get. I mean, sorry, I just have to plug that again as a certified car member and someone who thinks it's great. This is another huge benefit for being a car member, is the opportunity to be a tier 1 buyer on these vehicles. Sorry.
No, absolutely. So let's get to the meat of this. What's actually going to be required by SHiFT? Because we've talked about compliance already. We've talked about the strictest environmental protocols and controls. Well, what are the true requirements? Sure, timely and courteous. That's always going to matter, right? We expect you to be able to flag these vehicles as SHiFT units in your processing because they need to be handled a little differently. We also expect that you'll do your standard environmental processing at the location. No modifications there. We expect you'll pull parts and assemblies, removed and merchandise. All that's great. The biggest requirement of the program, the conversation point for us, the EC beginning, is we must be able to retire the whole engine. So as a carbon producing internal combustion engine, we want to be able to endorse this vehicle and make a statement to our consumers via this affidavit that the whole engine may not be resold. And this is a huge difference. Nobody else is making any kind of points like this. And we are not requiring what Cash for Clunkers previously required in terms of seizing that engine, et cetera. But we're just relying on the good work and reputation of you and our membership to say that whole vehicle engine will not be resold, right? And you'll guarantee that in the form of an affidavit, and that affidavit allows us to confirm the carbon reduction and do some counting based on that. But
the whole engine being resold doesn't mean that you can't sell components off of the engine.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, the resale of used parts is a huge part of the environmental arguments that we are making. If you go to the SHiFT website and you review not only primary pages, the about pages, the impact pages, you go deeper into the narrative. We want to praise and identify the use. We want to bring these environmental consumers into the attention of the great environmental outcome of used parts. So we're not restricting that just to bodies and panels and seats. Absolutely, that extends to engine assemblies as well. Just not the whole carbon emitting internal combustion engine sold as whole. And again, we are fully aware that selling whole engines is in many cases the greatest economic opportunity from a manufacturing perspective. But we're hoping to create enough economic incentive to even that out.
Yep.
Great. So this is how you sign up. We tried to make this as easy as possible. For those of you who are already engaged with ARS, you're essentially very, very close to sign up as well. It just really requires that we go over some more of your communication points and register your yard as interested in the SHiFT program. For standard car members, everybody, there is an auto enrollment for becoming an ARS buyer. We have built the system to be able to identify by vehicle's location the participating yards around it. That system's existed for a decade at ARS already, but we've actually really improved it for this program specifically. If you're interested right now and you want more information, you can email us at success@arscars.com. And someone on the success team will get back to you. But candidly, this program won't be based on pure registrations. We're going to be making outreach. We'll be making outreach as vehicles become available. We've already started some of that. We've had to identify those tier 3s already where we didn't have an ARA member within 100 miles of the vehicle. It's going to require a lot of hand holding to get this program launched correctly, but that's something we know very well as well. This is how we grow, right? Now, you've heard me talk about the car donation program before, and I'm using it because it makes for a very simple model, a competitive model, quite honestly, on growing this program. This will present an alternative to typical donation programs, but it also creates an alternative to curbstoning, selling your vehicle, just giving up on that vehicle. We are creating a narrative space around this topic. And we're not underestimating how hard that's going to be because this is a new concept. We've never been able to coalesce around this idea of making an environmental decision with your end-of-life vehicle. That's what SHiFT's out to do. So we've got plans. We are closing in on what should be some pretty terrific opportunities to circulate this message. We've been waiting to get this program rolled out to the membership before we go there, but we're excited about it. And as Jono mentioned earlier, and we believe this to be true, SHiFT should represent a connective tissue for the entire industry, right? It should give us the opportunity to take the rightful place in the conversation about the environmental well-being of the cities, towns, and communities we live in. It should give us the opportunity to talk about the very good work that we have done and make no apologies for our particular environmental story to be profitable as well. But to put our brands, our names, and our positions together in a way that connects us in unique and probably well overdue conversations. One very important point is our highest opportunity for success is working together. And that's something that this industry does pretty well and did very, very well throughout the pandemic. Sharing ideas, cooperating, and supporting each other was incredibly important throughout the pandemic. But this is going to be different. We are setting up a group of tools and resources, a narrative blueprint that will hopefully make sense for you, and a digital strategy, which again, as Jono mentioned, because we're such a wide and diverse organization of all sizes, has been difficult to kind of really do and achieve and accomplish. We hope SHiFT will be able to do that, connect our stories, our services, our locations, and our digital assets all together in a pretty cool and organic way. So it's all that's exciting.
You know, Joe, I think when we're looking at this, and I think a couple of things that people hear is cash flow clunker program. You know, that they're pushing us away from the internal combustible engine. Yeah, and no one wants to go. And all those things may have a little bit of truth, but here's the true thing. There are the right things happening around the US, especially regarding what's the next step in technology. And regardless of political affiliation or where you stand on anything, the change is coming. And if we aren't at the forefront, putting something together like this to the government officials, to our community, then we're going to be left just with whatever they come up with. So now that this is sitting here and we say, hey, listen, you have a problem, and your problem is you want to get rid of some of these, ICE configurations. Well, use this program. You've got certified recyclers. You've got people who are lined up and can operate together and are going to guarantee you a good, successful outcome for what you're looking for. So this program alone is, there's something that was said once, we are not blue or red, we're green, right? We're green because we like the money and we like the environmental aspect. And this is a huge opportunity to be both for everyone. This is a non-political issue. This is an issue that's just going to be great.
So another thing that I'm very proud of, like a lot of the smart people in this industry, is we are environmental innovators for sure. Every year our processes get more efficient and cleaner, and it's business focused and environmental focused. We're also environmental realists, right? Like none of this, no participation in SHiFT requires you be any type of evangelist or warrior, right? Participating in SHiFT doesn't change our perspective. We understand. Again, we mentioned that earlier. Tesla gobbles up all the headlines, but they represent less than 1% of the cars and vehicles in operation, right? Yeah. We know what the world looks like. We're realistic about it, but we've been doing such important work for so long, and been ignored when some of this legislation gets written and developed. I think I expect that SHiFT is going to help us get our narrative in the conversation.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah. So, Vince, were you adding back? Are you joining us again? Where are you at? Oh, look at that.
Hey, I can't. I tell you what, I'm going to just hang back until you guys are done. We did have this one question so far. I'm hoping that we'll get some more questions as we begin to address this. But Lose Auto posted this question. I'm going to share it. If any other questions come in, I'll put them up on the screen, and you guys can address them. But so far, this is the only one we have. But I'm going to bring Emily on, and then I'm going to drop off.
So, John, I can take this. So you'll see that the stipulations of the affidavit, and we're happy to circulate that to anyone who's interested to see it, don't require this, right? Do not require the separation. We understand that the practical realities of some of these cars that are fed almost entirely and whole into crush and shred wouldn't require this level of attention to detail. So we kept it out of the attention to service. So we kept it out of the affidavit specifically. It really just requires that you don't sell the engine whole. Okay, this is a good one. All right, consumer incentive for participating in the SHiFT program. Well, we feel confidently that the environmental incentive is a valuable incentive, but it's not the only one, okay? The other incentive is a tax deduction. So a couple of things around that. The tax deduction is restricted to what is essentially de minimis, the $500 tax deduction. It doesn't allow you to participate in the other tax opportunity, which is the selling price rule, a program like this. But both of those incentives, I think, are actually pretty compelling. It is absolutely true that the owners of the Mini, who are by profession artists and not just incredibly wealthy people, knew there was a better economic outcome for them if they sold it, or if they'd straight donated it, and they, without question, accepted this as a better alternative for them. But that's a terrific question.
So I'm actually jumping in for this question because it's directly in my wheelhouse. So Jesse, I love that you asked this question. What I would say is I'll send you a message through Facebook, and just you and I can discuss. I can unpack what membership looks like for your business and how we can get you involved in ARA and get you a membership to ARA and assist you in any way we can. That's what we've been doing for 80 years. And we're really looking forward to onboarding new members as a result of this program, and just unpacking all the great benefits we have. So thank you for asking that question.
And then Vince, what you want to say is then from there, we'll take it and make sure they're signed up for SHiFT.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, Steve. This is actually another question and another topic of long conversations in our in our building of this program. The answer to the question is, who do the carbon credits accrue to? And for those of you not aware of this, you may be vaguely aware. You hear carbon credits are now in marketplaces, and people are always trying to exchange these credits kind of in this ethereal concept. The answer right now, Steve, is no one, right? We are not building this program exclusively for the carbon credits, right? Understanding that there are opportunities downfield, we are doing it for the net environmental benefit at this time. One of the reasons we've spent so long in the launching pad with this program is it required a lot of research, a lot of understanding, and to try, not expertise is the wrong word, but to really understand some of the nuances around this particular topic. Happy to have more conversations with you, Steve, about it. Certainly understand some people have done some real good thinking on this topic already, and not underestimating this. We know that there's a terrific value here, but at least in this gestation, and like in the gestation of the program and in the first iteration of the offering, we're going to be focused on service rather than credits.
So with that question, Joe, this program obviously is in the U.S. Is it going to be available for people in Canada at this point?
I think absolutely the base research calculations and information work regardless of whether or not you're on the metric system or not, right? Yeah. So we've been focused domestically for obvious reasons, but we hope this represents a model to advance this narrative conversation and service, not only like for all of our international partners. Yes. The answer to that question is yes, right? If it comes from your website, if you didn't hear me first, if you install the tools on your website, which will hopefully have a great benefit to your business overall, and it comes from you, it will be offered exclusively to you regardless of location, right? So there won't be, it may not make economic sense even at such a discounted rate for you to participate in it. That vehicle might be older, it could be 150 miles away, blah, blah, right? But if it comes from your website, that is considered sovereign territory. And the only way to make this work is to maintain that sovereign territory. We will lift and amplify voices together, but we won't do it unless unless that is confidence that you have in the program.
So Joe, regarding the websites, I have a question. There's a lot of members who've spent a lot of money developing tools to bring people to their website and then use their own estimating buying tool, right? Yeah. So they've got their own link to buy their own car, to buy cars from consumers. If they were told they needed to put the SHiFT link on their website, can it work in tandem? Can it work with their own link, or is it kind of one or the other?
Okay, so this is very important. I'm glad you brought this up, because there is no part of this that is anything that is not voluntary, right? Like you aren't being fed SHiFT, you aren't being required SHiFT. Like, we want this to feel like a win-win every time. And we want it to feel like these types of partnerships are considered. So for you and your operations who have spent considerable time in the way that you buy or communicate or whatever, we want you to look at this as a potential fit, right? And there are some arguments for it. One is we've set up the economics, and especially for the ARA members and the car members, the economics of buying through the SHiFT program should create a pretty compelling case, right? If you're just trying to buy directly from your consumers, you're probably going to overpay on the SHiFT rate, and that's exciting, right? And then the other thing, it shouldn't cannibalize anything that you're doing to purchase. We wouldn't expect you to stop trying to purchase vehicles for the sake of the SHiFT program. It may actually allow you to funnel some people who don't make economic sense for you. You just don't want to chase them you don't want to keep chasing $50 to a program that has a stated environmental outcome and benefit. And you might actually gain and convert for that reason, right? There's also arguments, again, competitively, like the same people that you are bidding against, digital platforms, national platforms, even curbstoners in your community, won't be offering this as the same service. So having this as another tool in your website, as another way to gain a potential consumer, will hopefully work for you. But we're happy to have those conversations, and we certainly respect that many of you spent a long time developing a strategy, and you want to stay the path, not interrupt it, whatever that is. Like there's nothing that is being asked of you or required of you that would impact your business in that way or manner. However, most important to us is understanding your reservations, your hesitations, your skepticism. Tell us what you think of the program. Tell us what you think of our ideal landscape. Tell us even what you think of the narrative. But again, as John mentioned, to us, we've been able to maybe look at this as apolitically, right? Like just look at this as the great work that the organization's already doing, and the work that is going to be needed from this organization in the next 20 years. But we want to hear your feedback. So in terms of next steps, that's the first thing, right? For the people on this call, for the people in this webinar, comment, talk to Vince, talk to John, talk to myself, give Emily a call. We'd love the feedback. Yeah. Outside of that, we've got another robust schedule of things we want to talk about. We want to talk about growing. We're setting up. We have another introductory webinar set up for this program to talk about it again. You're all welcome to join us once again. But then we have quite a lot that we're doing in terms of the launch phase of this program. We've got another set of webinars about using these marketing tools and this toolkit that we've talked about. We've got that video that we will be producing in the next month or so. I can't wait to share that with everyone because I think it's really compelling storytelling, and I'm proud of the work that's gone into it. And then we've got a lot of work we need to do in the marketing and partner side. Here's another question.
We had a question slip in as we were getting ready to wrap things up, which is great. We'll stay here as long as the questions keep coming. But go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, you're right in your assumptions, right? Like there's going to be a few things that are clearly not accepted first offer. What do we do? What happens at tier 1, tier 2, et cetera? There's a bunch of different scenarios that go into them. So to tell you the truth, the exclusive rules and services about this are actually just going to be maintained by ARS, right? So some of the communication steps will favor you reacting quickly. In many, many cases, especially as the vehicle is offered from tier 1 to tier 2, it becomes really important to move to whoever responds most quickly. So absolutely the case. However, we also understand that some people who might be favorably looking at a vehicle might not have transportation locally as someone. So the needs of the consumer factor into this decisioning. And I would love to tell you, we've always been very transparent. ARS has always been very transparent in our award system, and will be transparent in it. We want quick responders. We want heavy participation. We want cooperation. All those things that will mean that you get more awards. But the logic behind going from tier 1 to tier 2 to closing the opportunity as quickly as possible isn't necessarily always perfectly rule-based, right? In some cases, it's going to be who we need. Generally, if we move from tier 1 to tier 2, the vehicle is going to be already listed for long. We need an answer as quickly as possible. Please move quickly, and we'll be able to award it to you quickly.
Joe, one of the things that Jarrett had asked a question about was the consumer. What's the incentive for the consumer? Right. And I thought about that after the question, and obviously you answered that, but I think that is going to be the largest opportunity for the SHiFT program. But there's also the state and federal local governments that might be looking for a program like this as well. And so those cars and vehicles that when they are ready to retire the ICE configuration, that may also be a very big opportunity at times for car certified members, ARA members, and so on. So I think that's something to talk to for a second.
I mentioned this earlier. You can, for those of you who pay attention to your own state legislations on this topic, we actually have a set of laws already established around the Act on Climate that have legal requirements for incentivizing fossil alternative fuel purchases. And that's a terrific opportunity for SHiFT to have a role in counting and attributing. So yeah, that's very exciting for us. You know, many times the organization has seen good work done locally and then tried to repeat it in other locations. This is hopefully going to give us a platform for you to take it, and then the same happens. If you're able to use this as a tool to advance the conversations in your local or your state legislature, that's going to influence success, similar success, or you know, actually just pure emulation, right? We expect that to happen, and we're excited about it.
So thank you guys very much. It looks like our questions have wound down. Now we are going to do another webinar next week. It'll be on Tuesday, the 27th at 2 p.m. You can join us again if you'd like. You'll be able to see this once we finish this. This will remain on ARA's Facebook page and YouTube channel. I'm assuming it'll remain on our LinkedIn as well. And so feel free to email any of us. You can reach out through private message on our Facebook page, or you can email me at vince@a-r-a.org. Visit our website at a-r-a.org, and you will see you can find all of our contact there, all of our contact information there. So absolutely, we thank you guys for joining us. I want to personally thank Jonathan, Joe, and Emily for taking the time to do this. I'm thrilled with how many people have been watching and asking questions. So very, very grateful for the participation and all the work and effort that's gone into this. So you guys, thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great day. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Great day, everybody.